bring up Michael Grosse with 217.
I like it, dude. I like it, dude.
Do I have to open the presentation, or is it
It should go right into it.
right into it? Okay. Give me a second. You're getting the stuff set up. Thank you all for coming. This is also my second presentation, so bear with me.
You're in good company.
All right, this is going to be really interesting to some of you and potentially really boring for some others in the audience, so I'll try and keep it as fun as possible. All right, I could actually spend an hour on this one slide here, the AI challenge. Everybody is thinking, talking, researching, trying to figure out how to put AI to work for them. So I have a little sound here I want to play, and it'll to help frame the mindset. Looks like a good audience that most of you will remember this sound. Not that one. Good night.
That was fantastic.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Then they're done that, yeah.
Who just called it? Who? Nobody in the room.
Does AI tell that?
Yeah. All right, here we go. It is loading now.
Faster back then.
It was.
Is it going to be a dial-up tone? That's it.
All right. So how many people remember that sound?
Oh, yeah.
All right. So that's what the internet is to most people, even to this day. But there's another internet entirely that people are not really tapping into yet because they don't quite have the mindset to think of how to get into that other internet. So that's kind of what I do, is I help people find technology on the internet and apply it to what they do in their personal process. So that's why I guess a little kick out of entrepreneurs usually. So we start our businesses thinking we're going to climb a mountain, have great views, great success, see everything we want to see. And what ends up happening is we get all these things that we start and don't quite integrate into a process. So they just become all these plates we have to be spinning constantly, trying to keep in the air while we're, delivering for our customers, our clients, whatever our industry is, it doesn't matter. Everybody's probably faced that kind of feeling at one point or another. So 217 Studios is the company that I created to deal with that sort of thing. And I've been around since 2010, 2014, I turned into an LLC. But basically I build platforms online that help people digitize their process. It's pretty common. They call it digital transformation now. Back then it was just, how do I do this online? So I had to kind of figure it out as I went. And there's a lot of knowledge that came from that process. So 10 plus years of figuring out how to take any technology, make it work for anybody, whatever their industry is. I have clients who are insurance agencies that have to manage a application that comes into a physical office, and then different people in that office have to do work on that application, pass it off to the next person. You need to track what's happening. Another friend of mine wanted an app. She's a school teacher, and she has emails that she has to send out every few weeks for students who are in danger of failing. She wants to let their parents know, hey, we need to take some kind of action here. So those things sound really easy, but when you start putting a system together, it gets complicated quickly. So that's what I've done through 217 Studios. And kind of the core beliefs that I've had from the beginning is I want to create shared value for my clients. I want everybody to get something out of it. I don't just want to create technology for technology's sake, hand it off to somebody and then set it and forget it. I have people I've worked with for 10 years, and they keep coming back to me. Intuitive designs, because whatever I create has to be easy to use at the end of the day. There's a big problem in development where an engineer will create something based on how an engineer sees something, and then they hand it off to somebody in the field, and they're like, this doesn't make any sense to me. So intuitive designs is really important, has been for a long time. Easy adoptability, kind of in the same area. You need to be able to get something in your hands, use it right away, shorten those learning curves. And wide flexibility, because things change over time. You needed that system to be able to account for variables that you don't foresee at the beginning. So that's kind of the core belief system in what I built through 217 Studios. And I'm going through this quickly because that's not actually what I'm here to talk to you about. This is the company that I created, but everything that I've learned, I've now boiled down into a turnkey product, and that's what I want to present. It's called the Wheel Tree. So basically, I took everything that I've learned, added a touch of AI, and I've digitized my process. So it's now available for anybody. So the idea is Wheeltree makes it ridiculously easy to plug interactive time-saving tools into your day. And it doesn't matter what your industry is. I've kept it as universal as possible. And the next slides will kind of lay out how my thinking works on that. So just taking a step back and looking at everything, when you go to the internet to look for information, that's the dial-up modem era. That's thinking I need to find information. Where we are right now with AI is you can go to the internet and say, do this for me, and it'll give you a response, and then you say, do something else to this for me. But right now, it's all spinning plates because they're all isolated. They're all silos. What I've created is a system where you can take those little bits of capabilities, like how do I do this or do it for me, and you put it in one system. So it's called a platform in the industry. Platform as a service. It's been around for a little while. There's a few other people who do this, but nobody who's done it with business in mind, of making it super simple to take the core things that any business is going to face and make it super easy. So what are those 4 core needs that any business has? How can I say that any industry is going to face 4 core things? So this is what I've learned over the years. The questions that people have in business. There must be a quicker way to do this. There must be a better way to streamline this. There must be an easy way to share skills. And there must be a way to analyze our data. So those are the 4 core needs. And the Wheeltree is the platform that provides 4 core capabilities to answer each one of those needs. So you can automate your workflows, you can digitize your processes, you can delegate your tasks. That's a big one. Entrepreneurs always get to the point where like, I just need somebody to do this for me. And then they try and show their process to somebody else, and it's not easy. It's like you have to spend hours, if not days, just explaining your process to somebody. So the system makes it easy to delegate. And you can supercharge your reporting, which kind of comes once you're in business for a while. Once you've built the airplane in flight, so to speak, eventually you stop saying, let's build the airplane. You say, how do I take off with shorter runway space? So you need to analyze what you're learning. So the problem is that the available tools we have fall short of being able to take those needs and plug them into a consistent system. So the available tools, you all know, search engines. You search for something, get information, you have to figure it out. Then there's generative AI, which is the new one. You can search for, do this for me, but you still can't plug it into your own system. So neither really lets us plug and play. What we find, we all have to do that extra work. Competition, as I look at it, is not necessarily companies, it's ways of thinking. So you have different ways of creating your own custom software now. When you feel that you need to plug something in, you can pay a developer or a development shop lots of money to do something custom for you. You can do it yourself, or you can just put a whole bunch of things and connect them together. So those are all ruled by the rule of the good, fast, and cheap. You can have any 2 at any one time, but never all 3. So that's what I see as the competition. AI blows that out of the water because you're not sending rockets to the moon. There's a lot of stuff that you can do good, fast, and cheap when you boil it all into a single framework and you use 10 years of experience with just a touch of AI to make it easy. So that's what the Wheeltree is. That's what I've created. It's one platform, has proven solutions already that come in it. They're easy to customize to your specific needs and quick to deploy. So where it helps you is to reach your goals, bypass any bottlenecks that you run into, or turn your ideas into interactive tools that you want to share with other people. You can kind of think of it as a platform of capabilities. And I know that's kind of a vague term, capabilities. People always ask, what's the capability? It's really just the ability to do something online that you can't do alone, or you would need a number of services to do for you. So you either take all the services, build your own system, that's the old way. Now you just say, do this for me. You see what the options are, and you just string them together. So it's kind of like a no-code platform. And how can 1 million cups help? Beta testers and growth hackers is what I'm looking for. So the system does exist. I've been using it daily for quite a while. My clients have been using one form of it or another for 10 years. It's the same system. I just made it turnkey. So part of the issue is communicating the value of it to people who don't have a platform or they don't come from a platform background. So I'm really trying to find people in the education or nonprofit sector to start with, just because that's in line with my mission long term. And I feel like there's a lot of opportunity to provide high value to people who can do the most good with it. And then growth hackers, because I need to ramp up. It's in a closed beta right now. I know that it works. The difficulty is communicating it to people who can make it work for them. Okay, so I know that was a lot, and hopefully you can start thinking of the internet, when you're searching for something. Think that's not the only way to do it now. There's a new way, and I'm the one who can help you figure out how to make it work for you. All right, thank you.
Great. All right, we're going to open up to questions. We're going to start with Eric.
What are some of the applications I could plug into this, and so some of the uses that I could do as an entrepreneur?
Applications right now is not where I'm starting with. It is capable of doing that, but that's kind of more the old system. That's like 217 Studios. I would build a custom solution for whatever you use. If you want to integrate like Dropbox or Zoom, all these different services that are out there that you pay a fee for, you can just plug together through APIs and things like that. Sure, does that answer the question?
Kind of, but like if I wanted to get a text anytime somebody scheduled a meeting with me, can I do that?
Yeah.
Can I do some of the capabilities that Zapier and if this then that can do?
Yeah, 100%. So those are similar, but not quite the same. Zapier, if this, then that. The way I look at it is a permanent scale of you have an idea that you jot down on a napkin at one end, and then on the other end you have an app in the App Store. So everything that you build is going to be in between there. We fall closer to the middle than the full app end of things, but it allows you to connect through APIs, different services that are out there, in the same way that like Zapier does. But I don't really want to compete with them because you could just use Zapier.
I've got a question. You didn't talk about a revenue model and what your scalability plans are with that. Would you be able to touch on those briefly?
Briefly, yeah. So that's why I'm here, actually. That's why I'm looking for growth hackers, because I know what it's capable of doing, and I want to start with a small beta test, a group of about 12 to 15 entrepreneurs, where I can get feedback on how much infrastructure it's going to use, because everything is built on AWS, so it's infinitely scalable. It's like the same systems that NASA and Netflix use on the back end. So it's sturdy there. What I don't know is when people start using it, how much is that bandwidth gonna flux, and how do I charge for that? So that's still in development.
In the back.
So you mentioned workflow automation. And so I'm looking into capability of hiring AI employees to replace a lot of automation for manual work. Can that platform do something like that?
Is this in a physical, like, brick and mortar store, or
No.
What do you mean by?
Like in a SaaS model.
Okay.
So if I wanted to replace, let's say, marketing, AI bot can go out.
Yeah, it can connect that to the framework. So a way to think about that is people have an idea for a product and they think that it's this much of the project. It's really this much of the project, and the rest is infrastructure and making it something that somebody can log into and have an account and have, like, forgot password, things like that, all the boring stuff. So the system takes care of all of those things that you don't really want to focus on. So the idea on top of it, if you can build it on the internet, it can be connected.
When you say you need beta testers, I might have a nonprofit. What kind of time do you expect from them? What kind of interaction do you need from them in order to test this in a way that'll be helpful for you to grow it?
All right, so I wrote a white paper internally that lays out the process of how I do that. So there's an interview that should take 15, 20 minutes up front just to see if their ideas are qualified for the beta test. So I don't want to waste anybody's time. It's very easy once I start talking to somebody, if there's a high value, low risk opportunity, say I can build that for you in like less than a day, and it could save you hours of time every day. So I have that all laid out. It's an interview, a survey, and then just kind of presenting what I would do. So it's kind of similar to the traditional model, and I'm working on streamlining that so
So
that
you're saying it starts with an interview, and you would tell them whether you think they're a good candidate, and then if they are, they would spend 5 hours a week with you, 10 hours a week with you.
No,
What?
they wouldn't have to spend time with me once the system is built. It's just they would use it and provide feedback how they want it adjusted.
I see. You would build something on your platform for them.
Correct.
I see. Okay.
Sean?
Thank you. Michael, you have come a long way since you presented last time.
Oh, thank you.
This is amazing concept, amazing potential.
Yeah, thank you. That means a lot.
But go through certain process, customer. Best thing that happened is I wanted to participate.
Okay.
Deadline is February 4th, they extended it.
Right.
There you will get a lot of help from investors and everybody.
Great.
And they will take you to the next step.
Excellent. I appreciate it.
Rupert and then Mary.
So we've known each other a while, and as a former educator, and I work on the boards of some nonprofits, I would like to see you more tell a story aimed at those people, right? So like start out like, hey, this is Clay, and he runs ideas for us, and this is his day, and throughout that day, he's experiencing problems, right, that he doesn't know how to solve, right, that you do. And then he's always thinking, man, it would be nice if I could do this with this and do this with that and so forth. And then once you've drawn us in with that personage, then you say, okay, this is what we do, and we connect these dots and those dots and so forth. And then that way you can generate more of an emotional response to what you're offering in addition to the intuitive response.
Yeah, and that is the challenge I face right now because I've worked in the industry for so long as basically an engineer entrepreneur. So I know how to like sell it to somebody who's interested, but generating the interest at the beginning.
Because this is a good presentation for somebody who thinks like us.
Right.
But it's not. It could be much more grabby or pull people in more on the education and nonprofit side because frankly, I don't know of any nonprofits that are all like engineers except Quad A, right?
Yeah.
So I would look at that in that direction.
Yeah, that's good advice, and that's actually kind of one of the reasons I'm looking at nonprofits because they don't think like this. But I have connections to agencies who work with nonprofits.
Sure.
So the agency would be the one connecting me.
Okay.
But no, that's great feedback.
Right. Beautiful presentation.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
And congratulations. I have two questions. The first one is to what level of complexity tasks do you take? Does the platform take? For example, does flow things, debugs things? And the second question is, for some reason, I failed to understand what it really does. So, could you give me an example? For example, let's make a very short comparative analysis between WordPress and what your platform do.
Okay.
For example, WordPress does this, I don't. WordPress doesn't do this, and I do this.
All right, that's a great comparison actually because I've worked with WordPress and I know most small businesses hate WordPress. It's too complicated. It's not something that you can just log in and know how to use. Realtree is like, so WordPress helps you publish things and then adds things like plugins that you can search and find and not know like how good the quality is. So on my model, it's not about content, it's about capabilities. What can you do on this system? So it starts with the 4 that are laid out just to help people automate their tasks, digitize their process, et cetera, et cetera. But it makes it turnkey. Like that's why I'm starting with an interview. So I have to do a little bit of hand holding up front for where it's at right now. And over time, what I learn from these interactions, these beta tests, gets baked back into the systems.
So the concept is like the WordPress is the web development.
Yeah, it's similar in that it's a platform that you put your own ideas into. But instead of publishing content and connecting you to people, you don't need to connect to other people on the WordPress. Maybe you just want to do something for yourself and be able to do it repeatably. So like in the example of my teacher friend who has to send out these emails, it sounds really easy to send an email to one student every 2 weeks if they're in danger of failing. But if you have to send it to 30 students every 2 weeks and keep track of the grades and put them into the email, you're not going to be able to do something like that on WordPress. There's no plugin that does that for you. You'd have to string a whole bunch together and figure it out. With the wheel tree, you would basically just type that into an AI like prompt, and it would create an app for you that becomes your capability to do it repeatedly. And then you can upload a CSV of your student class list, and then you can say, hey, this works really great for me. So you have other teacher friends, they can then use that. Say, upload a CSV of my classroom and send out these emails to my students. But it gives you the ability to, instead of having to go from point A all the way to point Z, you can just say, this is the class list, this is the email that I want you to send, fill in name, grade, class, action plan, and it just hit a button, does it for you.
Are you planning to grow to the mobile development platform? Something like that?
I mean, right now I'm a one-man band, so it would be nice, but I don't think it's early in the roadmap, but it is definitely something further down.
One more question from the audience.
Have you considered like these real professional cartoon videos that you get from A to
Yep.
visual guys like me?
Mm-hmm.
Is the other guy.
Yeah, that's great feedback, and that's something that I've been looking into. Again, one-man band, so it's a little bit further down the roadmap, but
Because that if you go to $5 or $25, they do it for you. You don't even have to do it. Stop being a one man and start being
right.
Right.
You know,
Yep.
multiple.
Well, that's why I'm here. All right.
And you have very nicely addressed what our community can help. Is there anything else after fielding maybe some of these questions that you're thinking, you know what, it'd be
Maybe agencies, digital agencies who have a lot of clients who could use this sort of thing. That's a good connection for me because they know their clients inside and out. They know what their needs are, and they may not be able to deliver on the AI front right now. So being able to white label something like this and add capabilities to an agency is another great way to distribute that ability.
Can I give one question suggestion? If you want to do the beta tester growth hacker, there's PodFest in town this weekend. Go talk to those guys.
Yep.
Tell them you're there to help them with their business, and they'll be happy to.
Excellent. Do you know where that is?
Yeah,
That's at the Wyndham.
Wyndham on Sand Lake and iDrive.
All right.
I can give you.
Perfect. All right. Well,
Might even be able to give. I think.
all right, thank you.
All right. Who has my phone? If it's still showing the meeting, can you just leave the meeting? I don't need to have
Not you
it.
physically.
The Google's not, I can't figure it out.
Let me do this real quick. And okay,
Action.
go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. I want to start by suggesting that you think about the last time you connected with a loved one or someone you really care about in person versus a text. Keep that in mind as we continue this morning, and I really appreciate that you're here. We're going to dive in because I hear I only have 6 minutes and they get the hook out. I want to start with a quote, and I'm going to paraphrase it, by one of my favorite thought leaders, Brene Brown. Some of you may know her. And she essentially said, connection along with love and belonging is why we're here. It's what brings meaning and purpose to our life. And another quote from Dr. Vivek Murthy, the U.S. Surgeon General, just last summer came out with a study about loneliness in America and talked about the fact that there's really no substitution for in-person interaction. As we advanced in technology, there was something that we lost in our in-person connection. That's what I want to talk about today. So in the spring of 1983, Hugh Shaw was a Flagler College senior. He was enjoying life and his passions, friends, family, faith, and surfing. He was just a young guy having a blast, getting ready for his next adventure. And everything changed. Just 2 weeks before college graduation, Hugh was hit by a drunk driver and passed away. He was just 23 years old, 2 weeks before college graduation. In the wake of their shared grief, friends and family gathered on the beach in St. Augustine to start a tradition of celebrating their friend in the way that he loved the most, surfing. And 40 years later, they're still gathering, literally almost 40 years later, 4 generations on the beach celebrating their friend. The Hugh Memorial Longboard Surf Classic is one of the most enduring and longest tradition for Flagler College, is part of the alumni weekend every spring. So I didn't know Hugh, but I married the survivor of the accident. And so I attended the Hugh Memorial Surf Contest for more than 30 years, celebrating with my friends, much like this picture. And yet the year 2014 was different for me. I had just read a book called Alone Together by MIT professor Sherry Turkle. She was one of the first to look at what technology was doing to our interpersonal relationships and look at loneliness. I had an aha moment. I saw this group of friends connecting in person. You can't take a phone into the water, right? And yet I had teenage children, and I was really worried about their technology use. And I was worried about my own technology use. And I was wondering, the stark contrast between the two. How can I share what I'm feeling on this beach with a broader audience? And thus, the idea of a film was born. I wanted to take this idea to as large of a group of audience as I could, and a film is one of the most efficient ways to do that. I wanted to know what made Hugh such a gravitational force. What could we all gain from his story? And also, what sparked the connection, that he had with the honk of a horn? What can we do today since we can't go back to that time? So a film idea was created, and our mission for our film, what Hugh knew, is to inspire viewers to cultivate their own in-person connections for greater well-being. So our film is a full-length feature documentary. It's set in St. Augustine Beach. We are doing all of the traditional conventions of a documentary, interviews, covering those interviews with archival footage, video, even some animation, using all kinds of features to create a compelling cinematic and heartwarming story. Our target audience are parents of young children, adults who are worried about their own connection and technology use, enthusiasts of surfing, documentaries, wellness professionals, and health leaders in this growing space of digital well-being. We want to amplify the benefits of online living and encourage others to find that balance between their on and offline life, and it's a real thing. Our budget, we forecasted $300,000, which is in the sweet spot of what documentaries are selling for these days. We've raised $100,000 to date. We'd like to raise another $200,000 to get us across the finish line. We'd like to do that both in the private sector and the corporate sector. And we'd like to try to find one investor of about $200,000, but as well, we'd also look for non-exclusive participants. When you obviously buy a film, you get a lot more benefits than an individual participant, but we would work with that partner to give them the best possible opportunity for the film. People often ask me, are you taking this to the film festivals? And we've learned a lot about what it means to take a film to a film festival. It's great for awareness and awards. It's not where you actually sell a film, so we would use an agent to help us take our film to a major streamer like Netflix or the Surf Network or direct channels. Our executive producers have global experience working with major brands and in the film industry, so we have the experience to successfully take our film across the finish line. And I want to end where I began, which it's so interesting because technology has brought a lot of benefits, right? I mean, through the pandemic, we could see our family and friends with Zoom, medical advancements. There's lots of benefits to technology. This is not an indictment of technology. This is a celebration of in-person connection. Because of all this technology, we're still lonely. And so we have to ask ourselves, what can we do? Art can inspire us to reclaim our birthright, which is in-person connection. What you knew, you know too. The universal truth of that in-person connection is the foundation of mental well-being. So we can scan this to watch our trailer, or I'd like to offer, for those who might be interested, we can actually watch the trailer. It's about a 3-minute trailer, and there still would be time left for questions. So show of hands, who'd like to see the trailer? Okay. That's what I think. So now, I'm gonna try to do this myself, or ask your help to get it on. It's about 3-minute trailer.
There's something out there that you get out there in the water that you don't.
Make it louder.
That's when you're on land.
It's from paddling out, it's from sitting on the wave and waiting. You can kind of relate that back to your life where you're sometimes waiting for something to happen, when you're anticipating it, when you know it's out there, but you can't necessarily see it yet. You can feel the energy of it.
We were a little family, we're just hanging out trying to figure it all out. A lot of people that came to Flagler came here just to be at the beach. We all surfed together, partied together. Everything revolved around surfing and music and partying and girls and surfing and music and partying and girls.
I remember meeting Hugh Shaw, 6'4" and cute.
He had an aura. Everybody knew Hugh.
There were very few people that rode longboards, and there were even fewer that rode them well, and Hugh was one of those guys.
We were just getting ready for graduation. We were having a blast. We were flying high, and 10 minutes later, life was turned upside down.
Girlfriend came in and she said, "Linda, I have to tell you something." I said, "What happened to you?"
Everybody just sat there looking at each other going, how's this even happening? Just praying that, everyone was going to rally through. And then you died.
It rocked the community. It rocked Flagler College.
We felt like we had to do something. We talked about it. We said, we definitely need to do something. We need to do a Hugh Shaw memorial.
That's the start of it. Let's go surfing. Let's do it in Hugh's memory. It's not about the contest. It's really about getting together to do the thing we love, the thing that we knew that he loved. He loves surfing.
What goes on for this many years after somebody passes and draws people together every year?
We all getting older. Our kids are growing up. Generational. The time's got to be passed.
We can only tell it so far in the first person. We have to engage the younger generation.
I do worry that people won't make the time to join together to do an event like this.
It seems like our schedules are so much fuller, and that busy has become this moniker for being important.
What we've already lost to some of the younger generation is the interaction with people.
I wonder if Hugh had a gift.
He was able to gather people together, and there was a joy in that.
Way about him that he knew life. Huey knew so much more at 23 that I don't know where he knew that from. He was tapped into something.
And maybe that is what Hugh knew was something that all of us are trying to figure out.
Slowly but surely, we'll all know what Hugh knew.
Thank you so much. It's rewarding to see it in front of the trailer in front of an audience. So I'll take your questions, and I thank you so much. Yeah.
Right.
Put it back on the QR code slide.
Yes.
All right.
This is fantastic. I think you should rally. Rally. We have rally is Twitter.
We can give the information for Rally. I agree. They would, it's an accelerator program for social entrepreneurs.
Fantastic.
They will fund it. They will find a way to fund it.
No,
that's okay.
I looked at you first, so let me go ahead.
Have you ever contacted Sundance?
Yes, in fact,
they're the ones for the underdogs. They're the ones that will didn't initially get.
Yeah, they actually have a grant, and we applied for the grant. We didn't win it, but we can apply again. And the grant making is very different from the actual screening. But thank you. Yeah, it's a great.
You might even make it for less than $300,000.
We're working on that. We'd rather ask for more and then, you know,
Yes,
and
more
come in
points.
under,
You're right.
right?
Just give it a try.
So I have no feedback
Oh, shoot.
on your presentation. Except that I found it enjoyable.
Oh, thank you so much. That's quite an honor.
So my former roommate and another mutual friend are the founders of the Florida Film Commission. I don't know if you know them, but I'm happy to introduce you to them.
Okay. What are their names?
Judd French and John Lux.
I've met them, but yes, I'd like to be reconnected with them. Thank you.
Okay,
Yeah.
happy to do that.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that'd be fantastic.
Have you heard of or seen the movie Screenagers?
I have, and yeah, I have.
Well, you know where I'm going with this,
I
right?
do.
Like
Well,
every
keep going.
single school in every single classroom in America has shown that to parents and
They have.
brought community together, and I could see that model kind of being some way for you to.
I absolutely have been
Yeah.
watching every single thing they do. There's a film called Screenagers. Came out by a doctor, a physician, very worried about the same thing.
I get her newsletter.
Right,
every
she's an
week.
amazing marketer. Her business model is to sell screenings at 500 per screening or whatever at schools across the nation, and that's fantastic. We have a slightly different roadmap, that we'd like to really take it on a larger scale, but it's a similar. We're in the same lane together. Yeah. Yes, back there, Eric.
Have you applied for other arts grants, both in the state and national?
We have applied, very little actually. We're about to go for more. Some arts grants are very specific about not funding necessarily film. So I've got to find those that will, to be in that lane. But yes, we've got a whole list of grants, a lot of documentary film grants that we're going for, and we keep looking for more. So thank you for that. This gentleman?
Yes, so 2 questions. One, is this set up as an LLC for investment or are you a 501c3?
Great question. Thank you so much. This is set up as an LLC. My Wave LLC owns the film, but we have a fiscal partnership through the Global Peace Film Festival. And so anyone can make a donation through the global. You can go to whatyouknew.com today and donate $50 through the Global Peace Film Festival. And a percentage of that is kept by Global Peace, and the rest passes through to us as a tax donation. So thank you for asking that.
That's great. I do have another question. So there's another fiscal sponsor company from the Productions
Okay.
that I think you should look up.
Okay.
And then have you thought about crowd raising through a platform like Angel Studios, which is really good at marketing?
I need to be, I wish, this is recorded,
Yes.
right? 'Cause I figured, yeah, I was just like, how am I gonna take these questions? And I needed my secretary. Yes, we actually kickstarted this off the jump with all the friends of Hugh and things like that, but I would like to know more about that.
Yeah, I'd love to talk to you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
I want to say I love the film. It's a beautiful message, and especially when you say celebrate, even though he died, people still celebrate the life.
That's
so
right.
it's beautiful message.
Thank you so much, thanks.
Have you do a plan like?
Right.
You're such a great speaker. That would be. I could see where you could tie not only the film in, but.
Yeah, and actually, thank you so much for asking that question. This is actually part of a larger presentation, an ask to go into the corporate world, because employees, organizations are having such a tough time with employees, especially Gen Z, who kind of came of age in the pandemic, don't have those social skills. They're having a lot of loneliness, and this remote work is creating a lot of problems for corporations. So yes, we want to go out, and that's one of the things this group could do, is connect us to organizations that have a mission of well-being, but really any organization might want to underwrite this for that reason, because
my company does, it's companies to help with connection, and I look for people that are doing something similar, because they're always
okay, please be in touch with me. Yeah.
How can you attach your gifts, your calling, and your
How am I attaching my calling and my purpose?
gifts, your purpose and your calling, like that to this?
I am a public relations and marketing professional. I have always been a connector. Technology met me where I was. I was already connecting people. Social media just gave me another tool. And so I'm a bit of a nerd, so I was reading books. That's why I got on MIT professor's book about human dynamics and technology. And for me, it was like my mission, if I can leave a piece of art. I've had 2 beautiful children, I have a grandchild, life is great, but if I could leave a piece of art that inspires others to really reconnect with their families and their loved ones so that they have mental well-being, that to me, that's been my purpose in life.
The last question I have then is, if you have that clear, what would you do if you only have 3 months? Because you say, I want to leave something behind, to use, not nobody else. What will you do if you only have 30 days, not 30, 90, and you're 100 grand? What will you do?
90 days and 100 grand?
Yeah, you're not going back, and you want to leave something with that film. What will you do?
With this film? Oh my goodness. Personally,
I'm just trying to break the box, that's all.
Yeah.
But you're saying 300 is mine, and it's not. It could be much less than that, but it's something you're not doing or you're not understanding, which is probably your gift, your talent, your calling, and your purpose. If you're able to go in front of the film, and you be the one, you'll find what you need in order to be supported by that.
Thank you. You answered the question. Get in front of a room of investors and that are passionate about my passion, which is mental well-being, and make that connection.
But focus in your calling. Those things that belong to you, focus in that, and everything else will come after.
Oh, I appreciate
that. This is just a little adding to you.
Yes,
You're
it
trying to
is.
look at it a different way.
Okay, no, I appreciate that.
First, and then you. I will say it's you, and the film is coming right after you, and you'll get the support.
That's wonderful. Thank you. Appreciate that. That's really great.
Have you reached out to the professional surfer community or the voiceovers and all those that are, as a lot of them are now doing stuff around mental health and all that, and for them to be able to piggyback on an event that 40 years is crazy. Like we ran a golf tournament for a friend of mine that passed away for 20 years. We did it for 20 years. I can only imagine the work that goes into that for the scale of it and doing it during the school weekend. Back to school weekend or weekend. Have you reached out to the, especially the local down the East Coast? Because farther north you go, there's not. My brother-in-law is a former pro surfer. Every community. So I've gotten kind of background knowledge of how that community works, but they love to do things.
Absolutely. Yes, we have. And I'm spacing on his name, but Ricky Carroll Surfboards. We went and caught great video of a shaping session. We have reached out to the Florida Surf Film Festival guys. They know about us. They can't wait to show the film when it's done. We're being very respectful and not poaching their sponsors, and yet we know sponsors have more money than just the surf festival, so we're going after very much the surf lane. I've been to the surf festival, so I see how a lot of films are underwritten, usually shorts. But we're definitely going after surf brands that have corporate social responsibility budgets available to take a project like this across the finish line.
A friend of mine, Stug, was one of the guys.
Okay. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Sold it, but he's now moved back out to Hollywood, and he's now.
We love that. We also interview a couple of surfers in our movie. They're famous.
Oh, I have one.
Oh, hey.
One word. Oprah. You on Oprah.
Oh, well, thank you.
100%.
Okay.
You two going at this. She.
Who's
This is what she embodies. What she's about is connection, stories.
Yeah.
Oprah.
Oprah. Okay.
Bob, and then one more.
I got one word for your next presentation. Bring the popcorn.
That's kind of cute.
Yeah.
I'm hearing a lot of what you're doing and attempting, and it all sounds very big and it's great. But what about going back to basics, success by 1,000 cups? What are those little things that you can do that help fill that cup while you're reaching the stars?
Doing something like this today is a somewhat little thing, although I'm really grateful at the attendance. This is a little step in building a presentation and getting great feedback. You're only the second audience to really be presented to. I presented at the Global Peace Film Festival Peace Pitch last year. So you're really the first audience that's completely objective, never saw this before, and this is incredibly valuable, so I thank you.
And one last question. In addition to the feedback that you had, is there anything that the 1 Million Cups community can do for you, just out there in the world for you?
Yes, just please stay connected, both with each other as well as with me, and I'd love to be more involved in this organization too. So that's my contact information. Loved all the ideas. Please bombard me at my email with everything, and I will be in touch with every single one of you. So thank you.
Thank you very much.